Remind yourselves of what was perhaps the lowest point of the 2019 election.
We have to get real because climate emergency is a real problem. Climate change is a problem, despite what Nigel thinks. But there's
Would you nationalise sausages?
No.
I enjoyed Raina's facial expression in response to that ridiculous question from the BBC host. But 3 years on, the scaremongering about bog-standard social democracy has now reached even more ridiculous heights. Tory MP Miriam Cates has given this warning. Labour wants to nationalise our children. She's saying the party's plan for graduate-led nurseries isn't just costly, it's a sinister attack on the role of parents. So let's look at how she has arrived at this rather stark conclusion. The practical and financial details need careful analysis, but it is the social implications of this policy that are most concerning. Speaking this week, Bridget Phillipson, the Shadow Education Secretary, said that you can make the biggest impact in the early years. Experts certainly agree that the care given between birth and age 2 has more influence on a child's future than at any time in their life. But who is the you to whom Phillipson refers? The implication is that it is the state that can have the biggest impact in a child's early life, and by extension, that this must be achieved by superseding the role of the parent. The logical conclusion is that the role of family should be diminished and responsibility for raising children transferred to the state. Otherwise, there will always be inequality. This is a deeply troubling stance, although not a surprising one. Left-wing thinkers are suspicious of families and parents, and socialist movements across the world promote universal state childcare from infancy. How sinister! It is true that many families struggle and some parents are doing a poor job of raising their children, but it doesn't follow that the state will do a better job. The bond between parents and children, the family, is the foundation of society, and the state should be looking to strengthen rather than weaken that bond.
If we actually were nationalising children, I think we'd have a lot more than just the 400 state-maintained nurseries that we currently have in England. This Miriam Cates piece is, I think, it's obviously ludicrous, but it's a fantastic little sleight of hand. If you ever want a lesson in how to redirect something that has no real bearing on your particular bugbear, your particular sort of like main issue, this is a really wonderful case in point of someone managing to take one line and be like, but here's a tenuous link to the thing I actually really want to talk about, which is something they teach you in media training constantly if you're having to go on the likes of Sky News, etc. This policy obviously doesn't really have anything to do with the breakdown of the nuclear family, which is Cates's favourite topic to talk about. She is one of the new national conservatives. She's really socially conservative. She's an evangelical Christian. She's made in the mould of, I would say, American Republican evangelicals and mirrors their rhetoric, which is why you get some real batshit stuff from them. What she's talking about here is Labour's pledge to bring graduate teachings into nurseries, which I do think deserves a bit more scrutiny. It's an interesting idea, but it's, as someone said, I think when they were talking about this, it's kind of front loading the issue rather than actually tackling the key problems. The NEU are currently out on strike, I think, for the 6th day this year because teachers are paid so little. So if you're getting graduate level teachers into nurseries, the pay is going to have to go up. The whole thing is not that people don't want to do these careers per se. It's that there's no money in them and there's no money to really do them. I have a friend right now who is so wedded to teaching. She's a wonderful teacher. She teaches early years children. She's about to start her training contract and she works specifically with SEN kids, which is, I think, special educational needs kids. She's doing an unsalaried role for 2 years. All she will have to live on is a bursary and grant, which would be fine if that bursary and grant actually covered her living costs, but it doesn't. And she lives in London. How do people afford to go into this career? Even the ones who are really passionate about it. If the money that is put aside for them doesn't even cover their living costs, they're not going to do it, full stop. She can only do it because she has a partner who is able to help her out with the costs. That is not going to be true of everyone. And that's the same thing with this plan to bring graduate level teachers into nurseries. If there's the costs are literally not adding up. And until Labour is ready to commit more to spending on education, then any plans they have are going to be hamstrung by the fact that they just won't overlook this massive obstacle that's in the way. And it's kind of like, it's fine, it will work out. How will it work out? I don't get it. So let's put aside Miriam Cates for a moment, because Miriam Cates, as entertaining as she is quite a fringe voice. And I don't want to spend too much time on her, but really talk about the problems that are facing nursery school level teachers and educators as a whole in this country, which primarily is pay and recruitment, which are both linked together from the moment they start training. You won't get graduate level teachers trained up if you don't give them a salary or training bursary that actually allows them to live in the first place.
I assume Labour won't be particularly threatened by this line of argument from Miriam Cates. And if Sunak were to try and make a wedge issue, Labour want to introduce more free childcare, I don't think that would be a vote winner.